Hello, how you doing? It's Heather and Phil, and we are here at the UTC Sports Complex to photograph some UTC soccer against
North Alabama.
North Alabama, thank you. And we're both using our R7s. I'm going to use the RF 70-200 2.8, and Heather's going to use the EF 70-200 2.8 IS2. And we also brought our 100-500s, which we might play with, but probably not. So let's get going. All right, here are some soccer pictures, and you'll see the settings right up here at the top left. This is just scrolling through the pictures full screen on a 4K monitor and doing a screen recording. So I'm at 1/5000th using the 70-200 2.8 163 millimeters of the keeper about to kick the ball. And there's my buddy Ray Soldano with his Nikon Z9 and the Sigma 120-300. Here's some action. The light was really harsh and kind of coming from the wrong direction. Sometimes if the action was in the right direction, I would have perfect light. So that was pretty cool. And this 75mm shot, 1/5000 and only 160 ISO. And this is in that same sequence. These two are together, which is pretty cool. Here's one of the UTC players getting a header, and I do like the blue uniforms. One of the UTC players running across the field, and it looks like everybody has their eye on the ball. I like that when you can see lots of eyes on the ball. Here is one of the Northern or North Alabama players. I thought that shot came out really nice. And here is one of the UTC players about to wallop that ball at 124 millimeters, 187 millimeter shot here. And this is the goal. You've got the North Alabama keeper. She's doing everything she can to stop UTC's number 7, but she has already kicked the ball, and this keeper is way outside the goal, and the ball would drift up and down and into the goal. So that turned out really awesome, and that made UTC ahead 1-0, and they would eventually win 2-1. There's a little post-goal celebration, and now we're back to playing another 200 millimeter shot. You can see the Boca-fied train in the background. They've really gotten up high for that one. If I was having to shoot to my right, the sun would be bright on one side of the player and dark on the other, and if I was shooting to my left, then the players would look great. Here's another example of that, and here I'm shooting to my left, and North Alabama, she got her hand on this and really saved a goal. It kept on rolling, but it missed the goal, and I think if she hadn't gotten her hand on it, that probably would have been a goal. And here you can see, I always like to point out the rubber pieces in this artificial turf field. There's some more action on the field, and here's another North Alabama player. I guess they are the Lions, as she is running across the field with the ball. Everybody's trying to get their head on that one. Here's Heather's shots from the first half. She's using the 100-500, and looks like she's shooting at 1/4000th on this shot, ISO 400. Here's another one of Heather's shots of the North Alabama girls battling the Chattanooga girls, and still more of her photography there from the first half. Tough light. Heather was sitting kind of near the 50-yard line. Here is our keeper kicking one back in, which is cool because I could, where I was sitting in the first half, I couldn't get our keeper in a shot, especially not with a 200, and Heather was much closer and shooting with a 500. This shot's 400 millimeters. Here's right in front of Heather. She was only at 109 millimeters for this one, and slightly to her left, so she's got good sun angle. Here's a 324 millimeter shot of a couple of players battling for the ball, and here is one of Chattanooga's players running up the field trying to get to that ball. I love her focus. She is really looking at that ball. Here's another Chattanooga player kicking the ball, trying to keep it away from those North Alabama girls. Another 100 millimeter shot, and Heather didn't get the goal shot, but she did get the celebration for sure. Number 7, who scored the goal, was very happy. Here is a little bit more of the celebration. Good for her getting that goal. Here is some more battling for the ball. Sometimes you got to protect yourself when that ball's coming at you fast, and they're still fighting over it. Here's some more of the rubber pieces that I like to point out. A 135 millimeter shot, and there's number 7 who got that goal. She's still out there playing hard. Number 13 battling number 8 for the ball, a 343 millimeter shot, and I think this is Heather's last shot from the first half. This girl kicked the ball back and away from our goal, which was a pretty cool move. Well, we just shot the first half. Heather was not happy with the focus from her 70-200, so she switched to the 100-500. Was that better?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. And I'm thinking I might want a little bit more reach, so I may put my 100-500 on for the second half. The first half, the light is low in the sky. This is a 6 o'clock start, and I went down to that side, so the majority of the field I had bad light, but I wanted to get shots on the goal, which I think I caught one. You may have already seen that. But anyway, we're going to put the 100 to 500 on, and I'm going to go down there. Heather's going to stay here. She's shooting midfield. Ray's shooting everywhere because Ray is Ray. Now we are in the second half, and I've switched to the 100 to 500, and ironically my first shot that I liked was at 200 millimeters. Here's a 300 millimeter shot using the 100 to 500, and as you can see, I've moved to the other side of the field, but it's getting dark, and now a lot of the field is in the shade, and it probably would have been a nice time to use the 2.8 lens, but for some reason I switched to the other one. Here's a 500 millimeter shot. I've slowed down my shutter speed to 1/800th so I can use this 7.1 on the long end lens and keep my ISO at 1600. And because it's only at 1/800th, you can see these particles that she's kicking along with the ball are blurred. The motion is not stopped completely. Here's a 1/800th, or yeah, 1/800th shot, and another one, 109 millimeters and 451 millimeters, really compressing, making that backdrop seem closer than it actually is. A 500 millimeter shot now, still shooting at 1/800th. I'd like to shoot faster than that, and you know, you do see some motion blur in these, but 1/800th is pretty fast. It's just not quite as fast as I would like. And I was really upset about this shot. Well, I was really happy about this shot because I've got her head right on the ball, but I'm a little too high and you can't see the ground in the shot, so I was kind of disappointed. And now my ISO is creeping up as well to 2500. Still shooting at 1/800 as these two are really battling for the ball. I've been shooting this match exactly wrong. I used the short lens with the fast aperture during the first half when there was plenty of light, and then I switched to the big lens with the slow aperture during the second half, but now I've switched back. I've got the 70 to 200 2.8 back on with 20 minutes left. Here I've sped up to 1/1250th because I've switched lenses. Now I have the 200 millimeter f2.8 70 to 200 lens on. It's getting darker, so even though I've sped up my speed not that much, my ISO is staying pretty high because it's getting darker and darker, as it will normally do in the evening. And this is my last shot. This is still shooting with the 70 to 200 wide open at 2.8, 1/1250th, really close as these two are battling right beside me. And look at all the particles of stuff flying up. As we were leaving, I made one last shot, and I made the moon my focus point. Heather's first shot of the second half is a picture of some weird guy with a Canon R7. Here's another one of Heather's second half shots. She got a lot of shots in the second half as there wasn't much light. She did a really nice job. It's getting darker and darker though. She's up to 640 ISO on this one. Oh, only 320 on this one. Got her head right on the ball on that shot. Really good job, Heather. I love the golden hour light in this shot. 1600 ISO. And Heather slowed her speed down to 1/800th now as they are continuing to battle. I think these two shots must be kind of in a row. Yeah, definitely. Look at that. They are really fighting for that thing. ISO 500 here and up to 1600 now. Those two are in a row as well. Now we have these two trying to get their head on this one, and now we're up to 2000 ISO and shutter speed is at 1/800. Team captain battling and running up the field after the ball. And those are probably in a sequence as well. Same two fighting for the ball. Number 6 kicking it across the field, and she's got her head almost right on that ball in this shot. Very cool. And number 6 about to wear that thing out. Looks like they're pretty close to the North Alabama goal right here. Number 17, that's a really cool shot Heather got right there. Number 17's kind of kicked it across there. Looks like North Alabama has the ball in this shot, and we are covering her pretty well, it looks like. Wow, that's a lot of people in one spot in this 254 millimeter shot. Here's number 6 throwing the ball into play, and that's Heather's last shot in this match. We are at another match. This time it's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon start time. Partly cloudy, almost mostly cloudy, and we're both using R7s, and I'm going to use my 100 to 500 to start with, and so is Heather. And it's funny, we were just now dialing in our settings, and we both decided to go with auto ISO, wide open on the aperture, 1/2500th on shutter speed, and UTC's wearing white onto underexposed by 2/3 of a stop to ward off blinkies, and we both came up with the exact same settings without telling each other. That's just where we ended up. So anyway, here we go. Oh, rain is starting right now. Check it out, Ray helped us get UTC Sports Media badges. Heather's got one too, so thanks Ray, and thanks also to Ann We Hunt. Heather managed to get 8 photos during the match. Actually, what she did was she shared a couple of photos that she made during warm-ups. Here's a couple of players getting warmed up, and here's that same 2 still warming up. And now we are in the match. There's captain number 3 kicking the ball across the field right in front of the Chattanooga bench. And here is number 17 and Belmont's number 2 as they're battling for the ball. Heather is using the R7 and the 100-500 at 270 millimeters. And here are, looks like those same 2. Yes, definitely those same 2 battling right there. Another 270 millimeter shot, probably made really close together to that other one. Here's a 200 millimeter shot of this player as she's running down the field with the ball. A 324 millimeter shot of this player with the ball. Looks like she is eyeballing the goal down on the other end of the field, and now she's starting to head towards it. Here are the 2 shots that I managed to grab before the weather delay. Actually, I grabbed a whole bunch in the sequence where this shot is, and I'll share those with you in just a moment. This is a 159 millimeter shot, 1/3200th of a second, f5.6 and ISO 250. And here's my other shot, a 400 millimeter shot, also at 1/2500th, f6.3 and ISO 320. And look in the background, it's so crazy because we had a weather delay for rain, but we did get a break in the clouds just before the match. And I'm looking all the way across the field here, and you can really see the heat distortion. Not so much on the player, thankfully, but in the background you can see just tons and tons of heat distortion. I mean, these bricks should be out of focus because they're a long way in the background, but that is definitely just wobbly heat distortion coming up. And then we had the weather delay. Okay, here is one 53 shot sequence, which I've already showed you one picture that I edited from this sequence, but now I'm going to show you the entire sequence, and none of these are edited. And the sequence starts at 2:03 in the afternoon and 12 seconds, and it finishes up down here at 2:03 in the afternoon and 15 seconds. I was in mechanical shooting the 15 frames per second mode. This lasted a little more than 3 seconds, and there's 53 shots. So let's start right here. And as you can see, let me change this. As you can see, I start out at 223 millimeters, and as this play happens, they are getting closer to me. So I do some zooming during this, and every single one of these shots, and I'm using the Face and Eye Detect full screen autofocus here on the R7, and this player stays sharp the entire way. Now I'm at 176 millimeters, and they're running towards me. I'm sitting, the goal is to my right, so they are going to try to go in that direction with this ball. 167 millimeters now, and I had sped I know I talked about shooting at 1/2500th, but it got brighter after that, so I actually shot at 1/3200th before the weather delay. But look at all these pictures of these girls. I think this one might be the one that I edited and showed you a moment ago. But all these are straight out of the camera raws. As you can see, these are CR3 files. And there is, I think, somewhere down through here is the end. Now let's go through it quick. 53 shots in 3 seconds, all in focus. Pretty cool with a $1,500 camera. They called the weather delay for some lightning that was in the area and cleared the field, and we went and got in the car, and then it went a long time and it sprinkled a little bit, and Heather and I went across town and got some pizza and played some pinball, and while we were there it started pouring absolute buckets, and then it quit raining, and we came back here to the UTC Sports Complex, and we were here for about 5 minutes and they called it. So that is going to do it for us. We sure do appreciate you joining us for a little soccer photography using the Canon R7 from right here at the UTC Sports Complex. Have a great day. Thanks a bunch. Subscribe, thumbs up, hit the bell, all that stuff. As always, Heather and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.